Hey, what is up guys? Calum or Calum's Fish Tanks, and in today's video we're going to be working on this tank behind me, specifically the filter on it. It's time to give it a clean, and today I'm going to show you guys how to clean and maintain an Eheim classic canister filter. So this is a video I did in the past, maybe about 5 years ago. I made a video about how to clean one of these canister filters, and since then I've had a lot more of these filters. Practically every single one of my tanks has one of these, and I've learned a lot more since then, so I thought I'd update the video and give you guys a better guide on how to clean and maintain your Eheim canister filters. I'm also going to go over how I clean my inflow and outflow pipes. As you can see, they're pretty dirty and covered with BBA and brown algae, and this is pretty easy to clean, and I'll show you that a bit later. So on this tank I run an inline heater, so the first step will be to unplug that and then unplugging the filter as well. Now I'm going to go shut all the valves on the filter, turning them towards the side, and then disconnect the tubes. So the tubes are now disconnected, so I'm just going to take them out of the tank, and then I can drain them into a bucket. So I'm in my bathroom now, and you can see just how nasty these tubes are. I took these off, and now I'm gonna add a splash of bleach. I usually add more depending on how much algae I have in here on the tubes, and a lot of people are gonna freak out about this. And then I dilute the sample with water. So a lot of people freak out when they see me using bleach on my pipes for my fish tank. They think when I put this back in, there's gonna be a lot of residues left from the bleach and this will harm my fish. After this is done, I usually let that sit for half an hour to an hour. I'll explain why it's not so bad at all and something you really shouldn't worry about, as long as you take the right steps to make sure it's gonna be safe to put it back into your fish tank. But trust me, I've done this, I don't know, hundreds of times, and I've never had any issues with fish dying after I've cleaned my pipes like this. So now it's time to actually clean the canister filter. For this, you're gonna undo all the little metal parts around the outside, and there's a couple things you're gonna wanna grab. Number one would be a stool, and I'll tell you why in just a second, and then the second thing is a button. Once you unlock everything, you're not going to be able to pull this lid off because of the suction from having the valves closed. So this is why I use the stool. I prop the canister filter up on the stool, tilt the tube down into the bucket, and then I can open up the valves. If you open up both, it'll release the suction, and then we can take off the lid, and I'm going to actually close up this valve. And then we get to the inside of the filter. So inside of the filter, what I'm gonna do is just throw in all these parts into the bucket of tap water. Then I have, what is this called? Filter floss. This stuff I'm just going to throw out and replace with new stuff really quick. Then you should have your first layer of biomedia. This stuff is filled with all of your beneficial bacteria, and you want to take really good care of this stuff. To take this out, I usually grab a container and then just dump the filter into it. In a lot of my other tanks, I've actually went ahead and bought filter media bags, and this makes this step way easier, but this tank I just haven't got around to doing it yet. One important thing to mention is all the work you do on your tank in terms of cleaning, make sure you do it in fish tank water, tank from the fish tank, or dechlorinated water. You don't want to add any chlorine to this or it will kill off all of your beneficial bacteria. After removing all that, in my filter you get down to the coarse foam layer. This kind of catches all that heavy debris, things like plant matter, all this different kind of stuff, and this I usually just go and wash out under tap water. The holes and stuff are too big to hold too much organic matter, or not organic matter, bacteria and that kind of thing, so this I usually just wash out by hand and make sure it's extra clean for next time. And then finally we get down to the last layer, and this is your second layer of biological media. These are little ceramic rings, and honestly they're not as good as the little balls, not as much surface area, and they get pretty dirty, which you can see. So these I usually take and put in a layer of water and give a good shake around to get off all of this gunk. Then after that we get down to the bottom layer, and you can see there's like, I don't even know how many shrimp in here, at least 30, maybe closer to 50 honestly. So I'm just gonna dump this back into the tank and let them loose in there. So I've added back all the biological media. I didn't film it because it was really loud, and you guys didn't want to hear that. So now I'm just re-adding a layer of filter floss, patting it down. And this is basically what will catch all of the gunk out of your water. It does hold quite a bit of bacteria in it, but I always throw it out just because I want to keep my water nice and crystal clean. And then finally, we top it up with this green thing with the prong side upwards. Next up, we'll clean the filter head. To do this, twist this to the side. This pops right up. May have the bar, may not. This whole thing comes out, you just slide it downwards, and then we get to the impeller, which should just pull out. Ooh. Honestly, these can be a little bit difficult to grab, so I usually use tweezers. There we have it. I don't know how well you guys can see that, but it's covered in gunk, so we want to give that a good rinse, as well as getting a little circular brush and cleaning out that hole there. The hardest thing about these Eheim canister filters is getting them working after you've cleaned them. I found this to be a really big pain, but to help it out, I found it helps by adding some water to the filter and filling it up before you put the lid back on. Now this is just tank water that I drained out of the tank because today's pretty much water change day. So I'll add this to here till it's basically filled up, not all the way, and then we will throw the lid back on. You want to avoid opening up the valves, which is tough to do and takes a bit of strength, but it will keep the suction in there so you can get the filter started up again easier. So the filter is set back up with the lid again. Now let's go see how our pipes are doing in the bleach. So they've been sitting in here for about half an hour, and honestly, they're still pretty dirty. So what I'm gonna do is give them a quick rinse, and that should help dislodge a lot of the stuff. And then I'll show you guys what I do next to make sure these are safe to put back in the tank. So the active ingredient in bleach is sodium chlorate. And now, if you don't know what this is, you don't really need to, but the important thing to know is this has chlorine in it. And to get rid of that, what I'm gonna do is use a little bit of dechlorinator, well actually a lot of dechlorinator, because we want to make sure to get rid of all that chlorine. That's actually the toxic part of bleach and what does end up hurting our fish. So if I let these sit for a little bit in this dechlorinated water with the dechlorinator, after a while it should go away. And I know they're safe to put back in the tank when if I smell them, I can't smell any more of that bleach scent. So the pipes were in the conditioner for probably about 20 minutes, and now the bleach smell is completely gone. I gave them one last quick rinse before I got them in the tank. And now's the moment of truth to see if it'll work up once I open up the valve. So first I open up the bottom, and then I open up the top. And then we're just gonna give a quick suck on this end, and I may need one more to get water flowing into the filter. There we go. Of all the complaints I have with these filters, it's that they're really hard to prime. But let's see if that worked. There we go. So after a couple of pumps, you can see it blows out all the bubbles, gets rid of all the extra air. And now we're gonna have quite a bit of bubbles blowing into the tank for a little bit, and it's gonna be making quite a bit of noise until it's ready to go. Let's just push this down so it's sucking in water. So you can see the last bit of air is escaping from the filter, and this is just it finishing off the priming before it's ready to go. This usually takes a little bit to get rid of all the air, and then it'll start working like it normally should. So the bubble rate started increasing like crazy. It's pushing through a lot more water, so it'll just be a second before it starts working normally again. And there we have it. After about 5 minutes, it's finally running normally. And there we go, folks. That's how you clean and maintain an Eheim Classic canister filter. I hope you guys learned something new and found this video helpful. I think it was a little bit better than the last one, but let me know down below in the comments if you have any more tips or if there's anything you think I missed. Anyways, guys, this was Calum's Fish Tanks. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.